Have you ever noticed that the more you try to keep someone's attention, the faster it seems to disappear? The more messages you send, the colder the replies become. The more available you make yourself, the less valuable you appear. Most people believe that effort creates attraction. They think that if they give more love, more care, more time, and more attention, they will become impossible to leave. But power does not work that way. Human nature does not reward desperation. It rewards value. And value grows where there is space, mystery, and self-control. Many people lose relationships before the relationship even begins. Not because they are bad, not because they are unworthy, but because they reveal too much need. They make the other person the center of their world too quickly. They chase certainty. They chase validation. They chase reassurance. And without realizing it, they destroy the very thing they are trying to protect. Machiavelli understood something that most people never learn. People are drawn toward what they choose, not what is forced upon them. The harder you push, the stronger the resistance becomes. The more you demand attention, the less freely it is given. When someone feels that they are being pulled, controlled, or emotionally pressured, a hidden instinct awakens inside them. That instinct seeks freedom. This is why many people make a painful mistake. They believe love grows through pursuit. In reality, attraction often grows through absence. Respect grows through boundaries. Desire grows through uncertainty. What is always available is often taken for granted. What can be lost becomes valuable. Think carefully about your own life. Have you ever become obsessed with someone who was constantly trying to impress you? Probably not. But perhaps you have thought about someone who seemed calm, confident, and independent. Someone who did not need your approval to feel complete. That is because strength attracts attention. Neediness repels it. Today, we will uncover a truth that many people fear to accept. If you try too hard to keep him, you may become the reason he leaves. But if you understand the deeper laws of human nature, you can create something far more powerful than pursuit. You can create respect. And where respect exists, attraction has room to breathe. The first lesson is simple, yet most people ignore it. The person who needs less often holds more power. When you constantly seek his attention, your actions send a message. That message says, your response determines my emotional state. You may never say those words directly, but your behavior reveals them. Every extra message, every attempt to force a conversation, every effort to gain reassurance communicates dependence. People are extremely sensitive to emotional pressure. Even when they cannot explain it, they feel it. A man may begin to feel responsible for your happiness. At first, this may make him feel important. But over time, it becomes heavy. What once felt flattering starts to feel like an obligation. Machiavelli believed that people value what serves their interests and protects their freedom. The moment someone feels trapped, their mind begins searching for escape. This does not happen because they hate you. It happens because human beings naturally resist anything that threatens their independence. Notice how confident people behave. They do not chase every opportunity. They do not panic when someone takes longer to reply. They do not constantly seek proof that they are appreciated. Their confidence comes from within. Because of this, others feel comfortable around them. There is no pressure. There is no emotional burden. Many people misunderstand confidence. They think confidence means acting cold or pretending not to care. That is not confidence. That is performance. Real confidence means knowing your worth, even when attention is absent. It means remaining calm when outcomes are uncertain. When you make someone the source of your emotional stability, you hand them power that should belong to you. Every delay becomes painful. Every small change in behavior becomes a threat. Every moment of silence feels like rejection. Soon, your actions stop being guided by wisdom and start being guided by fear. Fear is a terrible advisor. It encourages overthinking. It creates unnecessary reactions. It turns small problems into large ones. Most importantly, it pushes people to do exactly the things that destroy attraction. Imagine a person holding a bird in their hands. If they grip too loosely, the bird may fly away. But if they grip too tightly, they crush it. Relationships follow a similar principle. Too much control destroys what freedom allows to flourish. This is why self-control is one of the most powerful forms of influence. The ability to remain calm when emotions demand action separates the wise from the impulsive. Most people react immediately. They send another message. They ask another question. They seek another reassurance. They believe action will reduce their anxiety. Instead, their anxiety grows stronger. Every action taken from fear creates more fear. Every attempt to force certainty creates more uncertainty. The cycle continues until attraction slowly turns into pressure. The strongest position is not chasing. The strongest position is not manipulating. The strongest position is maintaining your own center. When your happiness does not depend entirely on one person, your presence becomes lighter, more attractive, and more respected. And this leads to a deeper truth that many people never understand. The goal is not to make him stay. The goal is to become someone who remains valuable whether he stays or leaves. Because the moment you stop trying to hold someone by force, you begin developing the qualities that naturally make people want to stay. One of the greatest mistakes people make is believing that attraction grows through constant exposure. They think that if someone sees all of their feelings, all of their effort, and all of their devotion, the connection will automatically become stronger. Yet human nature follows a different path. What is revealed too quickly often loses its power. What unfolds slowly keeps attention alive. Machiavelli understood that curiosity is one of the strongest forces in human behavior. People become attached not only to what they know, but also to what they continue to discover. The mind enjoys pursuing what it does not fully possess. It enjoys solving mysteries. It enjoys uncovering hidden layers. This is why emotional restraint is often more powerful than emotional display. Many people feel a strong desire to express everything immediately. The moment they like someone, they want to reveal every feeling. They want to explain every fear. They want complete transparency from the beginning. While honesty is important, timing is equally important. When everything is given away at once, there is nothing left to uncover. Think about a book that reveals its ending in the first chapter. The mystery disappears. The excitement fades. The reader loses a reason to continue turning pages. Human relationships are not books, but the principle remains surprisingly similar. People value discovery. This does not mean playing games. It does not mean becoming cold or dishonest. It means understanding that your entire emotional world does not need to be placed on display immediately. Some things gain value when they are revealed gradually. When you constantly explain yourself, constantly seek understanding, and constantly provide emotional access, you remove the natural process of discovery. You answer questions before they are even asked. You reveal depth before curiosity has a chance to develop. As a result, attraction often becomes weaker. The most respected individuals understand the art of measured expression. They share their thoughts, but not all at once. They reveal their character through actions rather than endless explanations. They allow others to learn who they are over time. This creates a different dynamic. Instead of chasing attention, they inspire attention. Instead of demanding interest, they awaken interest. There is another reason emotional restraint is powerful. It demonstrates self-mastery. Most people are controlled by their emotions. If they feel anxious, they act immediately. If they feel lonely, they seek instant reassurance. If they feel uncertain, they demand answers. Their emotions become commands. But self-mastery means creating a space between feeling and action. You may feel the urge to send another message. You may feel the urge to ask where you stand. You may feel the urge to seek comfort. Yet wisdom asks a simple question. Will this action improve the situation, or am I only trying to reduce my discomfort? The answer changes everything. Many actions that feel urgent are not actually necessary. They are emotional reactions disguised as solutions. Machiavelli often focused on the importance of discipline, because disciplined people are difficult to manipulate. They do not surrender control to every passing emotion. They understand that patience often creates better outcomes than immediate action. In relationships, patience creates space, and space is essential. Without space, attraction suffocates. Without space, curiosity dies. Without space, people begin feeling observed, managed, and emotionally crowded. Many individuals unintentionally create this problem. They monitor every detail. They notice every delay. They analyze every word. They search for hidden meanings in ordinary situations. Soon, their focus shifts away from building a meaningful connection and becomes centered on managing anxiety. This behavior rarely strengthens attraction. It usually weakens it. A man who feels constantly watched may begin protecting his freedom. A man who feels constantly questioned may begin withholding information. A man who feels constantly pressured may begin associating the relationship with stress rather than peace. And people naturally move toward what brings peace. This is why calmness carries so much influence. Calm people create emotional safety. They do not force conversations before the time is right. They do not demand constant proof of affection. They do not treat every silence as a crisis. Their stability becomes attractive because it is rare. Most people live in emotional reaction. Few live in emotional control. There is also a hidden form of power in being fully engaged with your own life. When your entire world revolves around another person, your identity becomes smaller. Your interests shrink. Your growth slows. Your sense of purpose weakens. But when you continue building your life, everything changes. Your attention is no longer trapped. Your confidence grows naturally. Your conversations become richer. Your energy becomes more attractive. You stop approaching the relationship from a position of need and begin approaching it from a position of choice. And choice always carries more power than dependence. A person with purpose does not need constant attention because their life already contains meaning. They have goals. They have ambitions. They have challenges that demand their focus. Ironically, this independence often increases attraction. Why? Because people are drawn toward those who possess direction. Direction signals strength. Direction signals confidence. Direction signals that your value exists beyond the approval of others. Machiavelli recognized that respect is one of the foundations of influence, and respect cannot exist where self-respect is absent. When you abandon your priorities for someone else, respect weakens. When you ignore your own growth for someone else, respect weakens. When your identity depends entirely on another person's attention, respect weakens. The paradox is simple. The harder you try to hold on to someone, the less secure you become. The more secure you become within yourself, the less you need to hold on. And that inner security creates a presence that others naturally appreciate. Because people do not want to feel responsible for carrying your entire emotional world. They want to walk beside someone who can carry their own. The final lesson is the one most people resist the most. It is also the lesson that changes everything. True power begins when you stop fearing loss. Most people spend their relationships trying to avoid being abandoned. Every decision is influenced by that fear. They become more available than they want to be. They tolerate behavior they dislike. They hide their standards. They silence their opinions. They give more than they receive. All because they believe that keeping someone is more important than respecting themselves. But fear always comes with a price. The more afraid you are to lose someone, the more control they gain over your emotions. Your mood begins depending on their actions. Your confidence depends on their approval. Your peace depends on their presence. At that point, you are no longer relating to them freely. You are serving your fear. Machiavelli understood that dependence weakens judgment. When people become emotionally dependent, they stop seeing reality clearly. They begin accepting situations they would never accept under normal circumstances. They ignore warning signs. They excuse disrespect. They sacrifice dignity for temporary comfort. The problem is that comfort gained through surrender never lasts. Sooner or later, reality demands a price. This is why self-respect must always come before attachment. A person who respects themselves understands an important truth. They would like the relationship to succeed, but they do not need it to survive. They value the connection, but they do not worship it. They care deeply, but they refuse to lose themselves in the process. That mindset changes everything. When you stop acting from fear, your behavior becomes stronger. You communicate more clearly. You establish healthier boundaries. You become less reactive. You stop chasing people who are pulling away. You stop convincing people to value you. You stop begging for what should be given freely. Many people spend years trying to earn attention from someone who has already shown limited interest. They believe that if they become more understanding, more patient, more available, or more giving, the situation will improve. Sometimes it does. Often it does not. Because attraction cannot be negotiated. Respect cannot be forced. Interest cannot be demanded. A person must choose those things willingly. This is where many people waste enormous amounts of emotional energy. They fight battles that cannot be won through effort alone. They attempt to control another person's feelings instead of controlling their own actions. But the wisest strategy is different. Focus on becoming valuable, not becoming necessary. There is a huge difference. When you try to become necessary, you create dependence. When you become valuable, you create appreciation. Dependence often produces pressure. Appreciation often produces attraction. A valuable person brings qualities that enrich life. They bring confidence, peace, intelligence, purpose, integrity, and emotional stability. Their presence improves situations. Their absence is noticed, not because they demanded attention, but because they earned respect. This is the kind of influence that lasts. Machiavelli frequently observed that power belongs to those who understand reality, rather than those who cling to illusions. One of the greatest illusions in relationships is believing that love can be secured through constant effort. Love is not secured through force. It is secured through mutual choice. Every day, again and again, and that choice becomes stronger when both people remain free. Freedom is what gives relationships meaning. If someone stays because they are pressured, their presence has little value. If someone stays because they genuinely want to, their presence becomes meaningful. That is why the strongest people never try to trap others. They create conditions where others want to remain. They offer respect and expect respect. They offer honesty and expect honesty. They offer loyalty and expect loyalty. If those things are not returned, they do not chase endlessly. They accept reality and move forward. This acceptance is often misunderstood as weakness. In truth, it is strength. Weakness clings to situations that destroy dignity. Strength recognizes when effort is no longer productive. Strength knows when to step back. Strength knows when to walk away. And strangely, people who possess this strength often become more attractive. Why? Because they communicate abundance rather than scarcity. They communicate self-worth rather than desperation. They communicate confidence rather than fear. Human beings naturally respond to these qualities, not because they are manipulated, but because these qualities signal emotional maturity. At the deepest level, attraction is often connected to how a person makes us feel. Someone who constantly seeks reassurance creates pressure. Someone who constantly fears loss creates tension. Someone who remains grounded creates calm. And calm is rare. In a world filled with emotional chaos, calm becomes powerful. Imagine two people facing the same situation. One becomes anxious, reactive, and desperate for answers. The other remains patient, composed, and focused on reality. Which person appears stronger? Which person appears more attractive? Which person appears more trustworthy? The answer is obvious. And yet most people choose the first path because fear pushes them there. That is why mastering yourself is more important than influencing anyone else. The greatest victory is not making someone stay. The greatest victory is becoming the kind of person who remains steady whether they stay or leave. Because once you reach that point, you stop operating from fear. You stop chasing validation. You stop measuring your worth through someone else's attention. You begin living from a place of inner strength. And from that place, everything changes. Relationships become healthier. Decisions become clearer. Boundaries become stronger. Respect becomes natural. And attraction no longer needs to be forced. Remember this. The more desperately you try to hold someone, the more likely they are to pull away. The more securely you hold yourself, the more naturally others are drawn toward you. That is not a trick. That is human nature. And those who understand human nature rarely need to chase what is meant for them. If you enjoyed this video, leave a comment and share your thoughts below. Subscribe to the channel for more lessons on power, human nature, and timeless wisdom. And if you found value in this message, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Until next time, remember, master yourself first, and the world will begin to respond differently.